Alright guys, I'm looking for your input on this one. This is my girlfriend's truck, and I'm trying to decide if it's worth restoring or trying to save or not. So it's a 2006 Tacoma. It's not a TRD package, so it doesn't have the rear locker or the fancy skid plates or anything, but it is a 4x4. It's got about, I think, just under 320,000 kilometers, which I'm going to assume is, I think, somewhere around 200,000 miles. And it definitely needs some TLC. But I'm just not quite convinced that it's too far gone. Most of the stuff that it needs is going to be cosmetic, I think, which that's why I'm wondering what I should do about this, because this might end up being some cool content for the channel, really. And it'd be a fun little project for us to work on, and the end result would be she gets a nicer truck to be driving around in. So to start with, mechanically, it seems like it's pretty good. Driving it around, it feels okay. The engine pulls strong and everything, the transmission and everything, that's all working fine. It's nice and smooth. There's definitely something loose in the front end, so I'm just going to assume the worst and say that it's probably a steering rack. It might be something less than that, but it definitely needs some kind of attention. There's some slop there. Aside from that, it's going to need a set of tires. These ones are pretty bald, and depending on what the plans are for this thing, I might just end up throwing the limited 18s off the 4Runner on this, just temporarily while we decide what we're going to do about it, because there's no sense in getting some new stock tires for this thing if we're going to end up doing a lift or whatever, but more on that in a minute. As you can see, cosmetically, we've got some issues here. So this one here, this is a pretty good sized dent in this fender. I believe this was Tacoma versus cement pole, and as you can see, Tacoma lost. I think in a way this might look a little worse than it actually is. Like these scratches here, of course everything's covered in salt, but these scratches, I think a lot of that is probably transfer that's actually going to get pulled up off the top. Obviously that ain't buffing out anytime soon, so we'd have to be getting a new fender for it. Speaking on fenders, overall the box isn't bad. Tailgate, I mean, it's not great, but it's also a used pickup truck, and I remember when I was shopping for a Tundra, they've all got dents in the tailgates, man. If you use them, that's I guess a common thing to have to deal with. This bedside on this passenger side though, it's kind of hurting too. It's got a crease down the side, so I think cosmetically we're going to at least have to do a driver's side fender, and then this bedside, from what I understand, these just bolt on. They're pretty simple to replace. They're not like epoxied or anything. So that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Obviously we have to do some taillights. These are cracked, smashed, yada yada yada. But overall, this truck really doesn't have much rust on it. For over 300,000 kilometers up here in Canada, it's pretty good. I would definitely say that the undercarriage on this is cleaner than my 4Runner. And really, as far as the body goes, the only rust on it is from scratches that have been bare metal. Other than that, this is just dirt here. I wouldn't do that with my own vehicle, but don't tell her. There's no rust bubbles on this thing, really. And the undercarriage, well, okay, here's the thing. The reason why I am really entertaining the idea of putting some money into this thing still is because on the outside it might look a little rough around the edges, but once again, everything's covered in salt. This thing had the frame recall done about, I think it was probably 2 years ago. And in doing so, I'm assuming that they would have had to probably chop off all the brake lines. The front suspension up here, this stuff looks fairly new to me for a higher mileage truck. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up having to chop off the upper control arms and stuff in order to get all that off the old setup, which means a lot of this stuff is new underneath. And it's kind of a diamond in the rough here that, yeah, from the exterior it looks a little beat up, but I think it still has really good bones. Again, 320,000 K, and the interior is actually really clean on this thing still. These seats, I mean, that's impressive. Again, those are in better shape than the leather ones in my 4Runner, and this thing has 100,000 kilometers more than it. So, I don't know. It would make for a really awesome detailing project for sure, because I know I can make this thing really shine and really stand out and look like a new truck again, at least from 10 feet away. Those are not supposed to be bright yellow headlights. We would definitely have to clean those up. And so my plan of attack, I think, is first and foremost, we have to see what this thing needs mechanically. And if it's just too far gone, if I got to put thousands and thousands of dollars into just making it roadworthy again, then it's obviously not going to be worth it. So I think I'm going to bring it into my buddy's shop and get it up in the air and take a good look at what's going on with it. Engine-wise, let me just show you real quick. Okay. Engine-wise, yeah, of course it's dirty, but it's not bad. And I can see it's got a bit of an oil leak here. Looks like the valve cover. I'm going to assume that's probably just a gasket, not a big deal. Other than that, it seems like it's in good shape. Again, I'm not super familiar with these V6s, but I think they're pretty strong engines. And Toyota used them in all kinds of trucks, so... Anyways, plan of attack. Step one, make sure it's mechanically good. Next up, we got to get rid of the dents, because... I mean, I'm pretty good at paint correction, but there is no amount of polishing that's going to fix that. So, new fender and at least a new bedside. I might even just see if I can get a whole new box from a junkyard for a decent price that has taillights and everything. But we'll see. And then, of course, we'll get into some detailing stuff. And this is never going to be a show truck. I mean, let's make that real clear. It's not worth putting that kind of money into. But we can definitely spruce it up. And so we'd be giving it just a quick polish to make it real shiny and protect it properly. And that would make for some really good before and after kind of videos. And I think my goal would be to try and restore it in its stock form as much as possible first and turn it into just a really clean, older Tacoma. And then we'll go from there. And again, I don't want to spend a bunch of money on it, but I think just a cheap lift on it would be good, just so we can fit some taller tires on it. I kind of like the idea of just doing sort of a pizza cutter size, just tall and narrow, in an effort to keep the fuel economy somewhat decent on this thing. I mean, it's not like she's taking it off-road too much, and if we're going anywhere really sketchy, we would take the 4Runner. But it would be cool to beef it up a little bit, and I'm not sure either. Maybe you just refinish these stock wheels. They don't look bad. I always liked the real simple Toyota styling on these trucks, but I also like the idea of just throwing a set of Methods or SCS wheels or something on it. Just to make it really stand out. Interior wise, we would just do like a real thorough kind of a spring cleaning video on it and get that all reset for her, that she can be nice and comfy. The box, it's got a couple holes in it. I don't know, these things are made out of plastic or something, but again, we have to kind of manage our expectations. It's not going to be perfect. It's, even if the project was finished, if we did spend some money on it, it's definitely still going to have some scratches and dents left in it, just because it's not worth it to take it to that level. But anyways, guys, I'm interested in your opinions and whether you think that this would be a fun little project for the channel or not. Let me know what you think. If you have any advice on these older Tacomas, of how big of a deal some of these problems are, or how easy they are to fix, or how hard they are to fix, let me know. Head down into the comments below and let me know your opinion. And I guess I'll keep you posted. Make sure you're following along with me on Instagram, because I tend to do updates and stuff on there of this kind of stuff, of what's going on behind the scenes. And if we can get this thing a clear bill of health mechanically, then I think this spring and summer we might have some fun with this and turn it into a cool little project, because I know you guys all like your Toyota trucks on this channel. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll keep you posted on what happens with this thing. See ya.